You're creating joy for the actual direct person you work with by just being a kind person and doing what you said you were going to do.
How did you get to amplify joy through profitable business growth?
You can grow companies profitably and be an absolute tyrant. You can do this in a really terrible way. And we've seen these, Enron being a great example. Let's just say, hey, super profits driving up these numbers, but in a way that's completely unethical, that did not result in joy for people. And so it's just the idea of joy being better than happiness. I think happiness is much more considered as an emotion, whereas joy is something that you can feel even in the midst of grief or sorrow or hard times. You can be joyful even in the midst of like really difficult circumstances. As far as the amplify part, one of the things that I like is when you talk about the GDP, I think that there's some interesting correlations that I've seen studies that correlate GDP to a country's happiness or joy. What we're doing is we're helping these businesses. It's like, well, you're amplifying the joy, you're creating joy for the actual direct person you work with by just being a kind person and doing what you said you were going to do. That's actually one of the biggest joys that people can have is like, you said you were going to do it and you did it. Thank you. And then you take that further though, and you, let's say because you've increased their profitability, there's some joy that comes from that because there's the grief and some burden that just results in just like the uncertainty sometimes of financial situations. And so we can increase that. That's good. By doing that, because of that joy, that trickles into the rest of their employees, and those employees, then it trickles into their families, and those families, then that trickles into their communities. And so it really does have this rippling effect. We've all had those moments where somebody's done something nice for you and you can't help but want to just kind of transfer that joy that somebody just showed to you, that grace, that kindness. And you're saying, I want to be kind to the next person. And so my focus is, how do I make sure I do that to my team? Then my team wants to transfer that joy and that kindness and that grace towards their clients. And then those clients, they transfer that to their families and their community, and it just amplifies from there.